Hello and welcome again to our latest fellowship session hosted by the Millfield Salvation Army Band. I don't know about you, but I quite like history, and I've been building my family tree for some years, and I found some very interesting information during my search. For instance, my great-great-great-grandfather died at the Battle of the Little Bighorn, but he wasn't involved in the fighting. He was camping in a nearby field and popped over to complain about the noise. I'll crack on with the quiz because looking at my face is like reading in the car. It's all right for 10 minutes, then you start to feel sick. And enough of this silliness. Let's crack on. Our guest this week is Derek Alcock, a former Millfield bandsman, now residing in London. And Derek is going to present us with a cornet solo entitled In the Love of Jesus, followed by a few thoughts in our devotional section. First though, let's enjoy a bit of fun with the obligatory quiz. Question 1. Which olden day film star once entered a competition to find his own look-alike and came third? Question 2. How many months have 28 days in them? Question 3. What is it that bees collect? And before we go on to question 4, a little word of explanation. Ditloids, D-I-T-L-O-I-D-S, ditloids, are a word puzzle where you use a set of numbers and letters to find a well-known saying, movie or book. So for example, 24 equals H in a D would be solved as 24 hours in a day, and 3BM would give you the answer 3 blind mice. Get the idea? So try these. 366 D in a Ly. 366 D in a Ly. Next one. 30D has S, A, J and N. 30D has S, A, J and N. I should have said you probably need pencil and paper for this to write them down. And the next one, figure 1, SS for M, figure 1, GL for M. 1 SS for M, 1 GL for M. Okay? Next session, here's some cheesy questions with two rhyming answers on each question. It's question number 7. What is the name of a blue-veined Italian cheese originating in the Lombardy region and an American multinational communications company? I'll read that again because it's quite complicated. What is the name of a blue-veined Italian cheese originating in the Lombardy region and an American multinational communications company? It's even difficult to read. The answer is a bit more simple. Number 8. What's the name of the popular hard blue-veined cheese originated from a village in Cambridgeshire and a poet who wrote Paradise Lost? What is the name of the popular hard blue-veined cheese originating from a village in Cambridgeshire and a poet who wrote Paradise Lost? And number 9. What is the name of a hard English cheese originating in the West Country and a city in Saudi Arabia? What's the name of the hard English cheese originating in the West Country and a city in Saudi Arabia? Those are the cheese questions. And finally, 3 questions which may make you groan. but also smile, hopefully. These are clues which relate to the London Underground stations. For example, the clue is doll is capable, and that equals Barbican, or Barbican as we know it. So here's 3 questions, or 3 clues, which relate to the London Underground stations. Number 10. Make 'em sick. Make 'em sick. Number 11. It's falling down. It's falling down. And the final question, or the clue, nobleman captured. Nobleman captured. Hope you got all those. I hope I didn't go too quick. But now we'll go through and give you the answers to those 12 questions. Which olden day film star once entered a competition to find his own look-alike and came third? That was Charlie Chaplin. How many months have 28 days in them? 12. Most have 20, 28, and then a few more. And what is it that bees collect? Some people would have said honey, but that's not right, obviously. Pollen and nectar. Pollen and nectar. And the Ditloids questions, number 4, 366 days in a leap year. 366 days in a leap year. Number 5, 30 days has September, April, June and November. And number 6, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Right, let's get into the cheesy questions with 2 rhyming answers. What's the name of the blue-veined Italian cheese originating in the Lombardy region and an American multinational communications company? The answer, Gorgonzola and Motorola. Gorgonzola and Motorola. Number 8, what's the name of the popular hard blue-veined cheese originated from a village in Cambridgeshire and a poet who wrote Paradise Lost? Stilton and Milton. Okay, I guess you got that one. What is the name of the hard English cheese originating in the West Country and a city in Saudi Arabia? Yeah, you've got it. Cheddar and Jeddah. Well done, if you got that. And finally, these 3 questions which might make you groan. The clues, make 'em sick, and the London Underground station, Turnham Green. Number 11, it's falling down, and the London Underground station, London Bridge, obviously. And the final one, nobleman captured, and the London Underground station, Earl's Court. So I hope you managed a respectable score. Now let's listen and be blessed by Cornet Solo and hear what he has to say to us this evening. God bless.
Hello everyone. I'd like to begin by thanking Ray Brown for the invitation for me to contribute to this virtual meeting of Millfield Band. It is certainly my pleasure to do so. Now, doing this, I realise that my audience is completely unknown to me, and I may be completely unknown to some of the people in the audience. So let me introduce myself. My name is Derek Holcock. I'm a product of Millfield Corps. I was born into the Corps. My parents are lifelong members of the Corps. My maternal grandfather was the first songster leader here over 100 years ago, and some of my family members are still members of the Corps today. So I think I can honestly say Millfield is my home Corps. While I was growing up, someone gave me an autograph book in which was written, "In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." This became an important thing for me, and it has been quite central to much of what has happened in my own life. I progressed to the senior corps, and in 1967 I found that a new job brought me to London. In my new job, I found myself occupying a desk that had been vacated due to the promotion of the previous incumbent, but who was still working in a different part of the building. I discovered that he was a Salvationist, and that by my moving in to that office, it was a case of, as one Salvationist left, another moved in, and a Christian and Salvationist presence was being maintained in that office. Now, I say I was moving in. Was I moving in, or was I being moved in? Was this part of God's plan for me? After all, there must have been thousands of jobs in London at that time, and I came to this particular one. Why? There must have been more to it than just my choice. So I believe this was part of God's plan for me. My predecessor that I mentioned there was a fellow by the name of John Bown, who was songster leader at his home corps. And we began a friendship, and we began having conversations, and soon he realised that I was quite a keen bandsman. And during one of these conversations, he said to me, "Have you ever thought of playing in the staff band?" To which my response was, "John, I'm not good enough for that. That's never been a realistic ambition of mine. Certainly not part of my plans." His response was, Your current bandmaster is in the staff band. Why don't you speak to him? See what he thinks." Every time I ran into John, he would ask me that question. "Have you spoken to the bandmaster?" And I hadn't. I didn't. Again, as I said, there were no plans of mine. I wasn't that ambitious. I didn't consider myself worthy. However, after a few months, it became embarrassing to keep telling him that I hadn't done anything about it. So on one occasion I did. I approached my bandmaster and just mentioned this to him. The rest is history, really, because it came about that I subsequently joined the staff band. However, was this of my planning? It never had been. Was God behind me with this? Again, was this a case of God directing my paths? I believe now that it probably was. Fast forward a few years, and I came to a point where I wanted to change my job again, and I responded to some job adverts, two in particular. One of those was in America, in Los Angeles, and I succeeded in getting accepted for that job. And when I received the papers from America, all I had to do was sign them to accept the job. I ummed and ahed a little bit about this, but I decided that I was going to do this, and I'd allocated a certain evening of a certain week to do it. The day before I was about to sign on the dotted line, the other job advert, which had hitherto not responded to me in any way, called me on the phone, offering me a job with them, or at least an interview with them, for a job which was considerably better than the one I'd applied for. So of course I went along, and there was no choice. That was the one for me. But again, was this God's leading, that I wasn't intended to be going to America? I was reminded of the words, "Just where he needs me, my Lord has placed me." Was this God saying to me, "This is where I want you, not in America"? I remained where I was. There have been numerous opportunities like that have convinced me that my life had been planned, possibly even before I was born, by God, and that I was where he wanted me to be, that he was directing my paths. Now, during the current pandemic, there is great uncertainty over our futures. So many things are changing. It's difficult to know what we can and cannot depend on. One thing we can depend on, and that is God's word. That is dependable, and it's constant. In Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, we read, "For I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And in Proverbs we read, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." At this point, I'd like to just bring to you one or two other words with which I'll finish, and that is that I wish to bring the words, "In the love of Jesus there is all I need, while I follow closely where my Lord may lead." And that's the crux of it, really. In my own life up till now, those three sets of words are probably most relevant. That trusting in the Lord with all my heart, and leaning not on my own understanding, that God has been there and has directed my paths. So thank you for listening. Take care, all of you, and stay safe. Goodbye.